Incoming transmission.
You are about to experience one of the deepest dives into the Star Trek Starships TNG era that you have ever asked for. We are going to be swimming in ships. We are going to be going so deep inside them that you are going to wonder why you never knew this much about Star Trek yourself. I am Joe Dove, and I am super excited to have Jason Roy Gaston with me, as well as Shipmaster himself. You may remember him from showing us a showcase of his masterful ships, Captain Goodwill from Trekking Up North, part of the Nerdy Up North. Good day to you, sir. How are you over there in the God's country of, was it the King's country now? It's no longer the Queen, yeah.
We have a king.
Yeah.
I am from them United Kingdoms. Hello, Joe. Hello, Jason.
Hello.
I am so happy to be back.
Hip, hear you and all that lot.
Yes.
What? Beaten to veg. I like trains.
Jay, you're on the wrong one. We are so excited to get into so many of the Star Trek Starships. We're going to start off, of course, with the flagship of the TNG era. Everybody loves the fat one, the Enterprise D. The Galaxy class.
I like starships like I like my women, with a little bit of fat on the end.
I just love a fat D.
Yeah, oh geez. And we got a kitty. Well, there's no microphone herm to meowing today, unfortunately. So
no, this is not the one who meows into microphones. This is just the one who's
And you may wonder, why are we doing this side episode? Well, that's because we wanted to bequeath upon you, our viewers and new subscribers, 1,400 of you, episode all about starships, because we are thankful for each and every one of your subscriptions, likes, shares, and we celebrate 300,000 views. We are grateful for you all, and we wanted to just bask in the glory that is Star Trek. Yay. So what were your thoughts of the Enterprise D? We'll start with Adam. Michael Adam Goodwill.
With me?
Yeah.
I was thinking about alcohol.
I'm about to drink. Yum. Drink.
Please, I have a crushing habit. I am the same age as this starship. And this starship has aged gracefully, beautifully, and even when it was crashed on a planet, looks better than I do at the age of 36. It is aged like a fine wine. It has gained more appreciation the older she has got, and the fact that she was reborn in season 3 of Star Trek Picard, it brought tears, literal tears, to my eyes. And I think possibly one of the greatest scenes in Star Trek in the last 25 years was seeing her roll out of Hangar Bay 12.
Absolutely.
And it just, I love it. The silhouette is right there, because you can't go anywhere without a silhouette of a Galaxy class. It is possibly the most detailed starship in terms of schematics and everything like that. We got the Star Trek technical manual in the early 90s about the Enterprise D, and the more you read about it, the more you learn about it, the more you go, holy hell, this is like one really huge ship. Like the massive hangar bay for Shuttle Bay 1, cetacean operations, where they literally have dolphins and whales operating facilities on this ship, and there's just so many things. And it reminds me of there was a Kickstarter for a video game where you got to tour the Enterprise D, and the aim was the aim
Stage
was
9.
it was going to be Stage 9, and it was going to be a deck by deck, and you could literally walk around the entire Enterprise D, and it was lovingly recreated. And they used the technical manual to go, okay, this is how this deck looked, and you land in the main shuttle bay, and just then you look at it through this game and you go, wow, like no wonder they had no money to recreate this in the show, because it was like the flight deck of the USS, the actual USS Enterprise. It was just huge. But I love this ship, and I love the fact it has been reborn for a modern audience as well, because it was nice to see it fly again after Star Trek Generations.
There you go. Jason.
The first time I saw the Enterprise D, I hated it.
Oh,
I absolutely hated it. I thought it was ugly. I thought it was gaudy. I was and still am of the mind that the Constitution class refit is the definitive Enterprise. It always has been. It always will be. As the years went on, though, the Enterprise D grew on me, and I'm not even going to say accepted it. I have lovingly accepted it as a beautiful lady on her own. She is grand. She is beautiful. She is a Hilton hotel in space, and I like that. I like that. Starfleet basically just wanted to show off when they built her, and that just makes me happy on levels that I didn't know I could be happy on. The one criticism that I have against the D is that, unlike the Connie refit, which I still say is the most beautiful science fiction vehicle of all time, the D does not photograph well from different angles. It photographs beautifully from some, but then there are others you look at and you're just like, ugh. So that is my one criticism. But overall, I was also extremely happy to see her resurrection in Star Trek Picard's third season, and I loved the way that they left her as a museum piece. And I'm happy. I would be happy if we never saw her again, to be honest, because I think she got the happy ending she deserved.
Okay, I agree with that. She did her thing, saved the universe one last time. My favorite moment about the Enterprise D, of course, is the Picard return. But one thing I will share is this lovely time I kept stalking the Paramount headquarters so that I could see this 3-second Star Trek Enterprise D flying. And I was like, finally! And this was a thing of beauty. I cheered and loved every minute of it.
I loved the detail. This is just a billboard in New York City, but I love the detail in the model where on the dorsal spar, the neck of the ship, it says Syracuse.
Yeah.
I loved whenever they first arrived at Jupiter and the Enterprise passes underneath the camera, and you can see through every window. You can see furniture. You can see doors. You can see into the observation room, and Geordi put the little gold spaceships back. I'm so happy the gold spaceships came back.
Wow. Well, the majesticness of that ship when it first came out, I got a shirt before I watched the show, and it was the Enterprise D and like most of the cast underneath. And I remember a lot of the kids going, "What's this?" It's like, you guys don't know Star Trek? Because I remember seeing Weight of Eden and things like that prior. And I was excited to watch the show that night. I had gotten the shirt. And I just remember getting a bunch of kids into Star Trek the same time I did into the Next Generation way back in 19 when I was in elementary school.
Nothing makes me angrier than when two men who are 10 years younger than me complain about being old.
I'm not 10 years younger than you. I'm only 4 years younger than you.
I'm 10 years younger than you.
Yeah. So, but we go from one of their best ships to one of their most oddest ships. And I'm talking about one of the things that Jason Roy Gaston taught me, because the reason why we did this the first time was because Jason has a wealth of ship knowledge and behind the scenes as well. And he taught me a phrase that I learned wholeheartedly called kit bashing, right? And kit bashing. And one of those lovely kit bashes is the Miranda version, yes, of the Enterprise D, the Nebula class. It is the Enterprise D just shifted around. And yeah, go ahead, Jason.
Kit bashing.
Yeah, there we go.
There it is. There it is.
I
That's
wouldn't
cool
do
that you
that,
have
Michael.
that still. Is that from the 80s?
This is okay. This is the Play School kit.
Oh.
Yeah, see if I can get him out of here. See little Play School Michael now.
Nice. Oh,
I'm
Lego
huge.
version. I'm
Yeah.
huge in Germany.
It's better than Hasselhoff's.
Yeah.
Yeah. They love David Hasselhoff in Germany.
They really do.
They really do. Yeah.
Hold on.
It's a really cool.
I'm trying to get him to talk again. Hold on.
Michael, that was no accident.
Kit bashing. There was no accident.
Kit bashing. That was no accident. Yes.
The Nebula class was the Miranda class of the Next Generation, as you correctly said, and it was the fact that, much like the Miranda class, it was adaptable to any mission, because the one we've just seen there was not the original Miranda class that we saw. We originally saw the USS Phoenix, which had a sort of AWACS dome on the roll bar on the top, as opposed to the triangular center platform that we had. But it is
on the top.
Yeah. So I love it. I think it's a good nod to Star Trek of the Past within the Miranda class, where it's just like, hey, let's just take parts of the Constitution class and just put them together and see what fits. And it just worked for the Galaxy class, and it just made it like a shorter, stubbier ship that, in reality is less vulnerable than a Galaxy class. Specifically, as we saw in the Odyssey in DS9, where it's just like, hey, this neck part is kind of vulnerable, and they're just like, no, let's just get rid of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Actually, it's more versatile as a warship if it's got no neck. Don't stick out your neck.
Don't go for the jugular. Yeah.
Don't go for the jugular. As the German went right in for it. Yeah, they went right in for it, and that ship went kablooey all over the place. So. One thing that was interesting about that ship is the way they positioned the nacelles. Like, you would figure they would go full like Miranda copy and have the nacelles connected at the top, but they made the decision to go underneath, which I thought was very interesting and a design detail.
Well, to me, I think that I can't remember the name. Oh, Nebula class. I think the Nebula class makes more sense than the Miranda class, because one thing that always bugged me about the Miranda is that it had no navigational deflector.
Oh, yeah.
How does this work? That bugged me more than the Grissom with its, with a little hole in the middle. Yeah, nobody ever said anything about the missing deflector, but I like that the Nebula class keeps the deflector there, and it keeps a secondary hull. So I really like that. Incidentally, fun fact for you. There are two types of Nebula classes that you will see on TNG and Deep Space Nine. There's the physical model, and then there is the CGI model. There is a way to tell them apart. If you look at the navigational deflector of the model, it will actually do this little dip, like its lower lip is down. The CGI model does not have that dip.
Oh, wow.
And so if the deflector dish looks just like the one on the Enterprise D, you're looking at the CGI model. And if it does not, you're looking at the physical model.
Wow.
It's the same thing with Voyager. If you ever want to know if you're looking at a CGI Voyager or the real Voyager, take a look at the lights underneath the shuttle bay. If they're lit up, it's CGI. If they're dark, it's the physical model.
Huh.
Well,
wow.
So there you go. Useless tidbits of trivia for today.
Yeah.
When Eagle Moss did their run of Nebula class variants, because they did three, they did the Nebula class with the sensor dome, the Phoenix, which was the AWACS dome, which we first saw, USS, was it the USS Phoenix? Yeah, the USS Phoenix. And then they did the Bonchoon, which was another variant. So we had the Honshu. You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, the Hunch. You're good.
Sorry about that.
He's picking up somebody's conversation.
When Moss did the production run for their models, they used all the CGI elements of the Nebula class. So the little divot in the deflector as Jason said, which was on the physical model, was never truly represented in Eaglemoss's Star Trek run. They used the actual Enterprise D deflector instead of the correct one.
Oh.
So if you look at the Honshu, which was in Star Trek Voyager, the Prometheus episode, that's the CGI model, and it's got the Galaxy class deflector and not the actual Nebula class. So, but in Star Trek Online, you can have both variants if you want to customize your Nebula class. You can have the original. I sort of say it's like a dumb smile where it's just like, oh. And then you just got like,
hi guys.
yeah. Sort of, and then you've got the actual, the actual proper Galaxy class smile. But I think it's one of those ships, very much like the Miranda class, where it was infinitely versatile, infinitely customizable, and they just used different variations for different missions and different. So like this variation of the Nebula class was specifically for science. This one was specifically for patrol duties and stuff like that. But I also love the possibility that, very much like the Miranda class, the pods were interchangeable, like a Thunderbird 2 scenario where, we're going to do this mission, time to put on the sensor pod or the AWACS pod or the one with all the pew-pews and just see what happens. Or the Melbourne class, which was like the USS Melbourne, which had 2 very small Galaxy class nacelles on the top instead of a roll bar. And there is a model of it in an episode of TNG, and it's weird because if you look at the image of the Nebula class with the TNG nacelles, instead of the pod, it's 2 very small Galaxy class warp nacelles, and like Jason said, it's a kit bash of 2 AMT scale models. So they were like, this is one scale of the Enterprise D, and then we've just got to use the itty bitty tiny little Enterprise D, and they're just going to put 2 nacelles on top. And I have never seen a ship with like 2 different scaled nacelles actually work. And I've got a model of it there, and it just looks so weird and out of place. Like how would that even work?
Now, was she more gunned than the original Enterprise D? Because the Enterprise D was like a hotel in space, whereas that one was more practical.
I like to think that it depends on the mission and what they decide to put on her.
Okay.
You know, if they want her to kick some butt, then they just take the little butt off and they put on, you know, the pew-pew stations, as, you know, Captain Goodwill so eloquently put it. And if they want to do science, they just pop that off and put on the AWAC thing.
Yeah. There we go. I thought it was a very cool kit bash. Like I said, it did justice to the Miranda's legacy, if you will. And we're going to go from legacy to legacy as we now look at the Stargazer. Yes. Which I scored the internet and I got this photo. I was like, oh, this works so well. So
USS Stargazer. Oh, look, Mary, they built this thing in Bedford Falls. That's a niche reference right there. See if anybody gets it.
If you get that, comment below. Jason, what was your thoughts on the Stargazer when you first saw it?
The first time I saw it was in the TNG episode, The Battle, and I thought, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like it. It's like a beefier Constitution class saucer with 4 nacelles. And quite honestly, I have a deep, dark secret, and it's time I came out.
Oh.
I like ships with 4 nacelles.
Oh, wow.
I like it.
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
A lot of people don't swim that way, but to me, the more nacelles, the better. I'm poly-nacelloness. So, you know, the Stargazer, the Baran, just anything with 4 nacelles, I'm all over it. I want to get my hands on those nacelles.
Yeah.
Stargazer, I think, is a really cool ship. I just love the way it looks, and I honestly wish we'd seen more of it, to be perfectly frank. I don't think we saw enough of the classic Stargazer, although I do like the Stargazer's namesake from Picard Season 2. It's one of the few things that I do love from Picard Season 2. And I think that it's interesting that that is not a completely new ship. That is Picard's Stargazer refit.
Yeah? It wasn't?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
they call it a refit in dialogue. And the producer, I think, was it Terry Matalas in the second season? I can't remember.
Terry Matalas was the EP for season 2. Yeah, you just wasn't the showrunner.
One of the showrunners came out and said, "Yeah, that the Stargazer was refit." But then in season 3 of Picard, you see what I'm assuming is the Stargazer in the Fleet Museum. So I don't know if maybe they just took some components out and just left her kind of like this, just a showpiece, or what happened. But yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah,
I justified it as
to come out with a model of it.
I justified it as a way of if you've seen those old scientists where they're like, we took a little bit of the NX-01 and put it in the Constitution class. I think they did what they did with that and the Titan, where they took certain components of the Titan and put them into the Constitution 3. So I would say, yeah, the Sagan class had maybe certain components from the Constellation class to honor their namesake. Because I agree, like the Sagan class of the in Picard season 2, because let's be honest, Doug Drexler knows his ships, and this was designed so fastidiously and with passion and with dedication that we got all of 34 seconds of exposure of this ship throughout season 2, and it had so much detail and so much love poured into it, and it is one of my. I mean, it shows how much of a favorite it is when I was like, "Hi, Dave, give me the Sagan class, please," because it is just so beautiful.
It's a very cool looking update.
It's beautiful, and it's like they got how to make a homage to a ship right. Mm-hmm. And what I love about the Constellation class, I compare it, and this is going to be a really weird comparison. I compare it to Red Dwarf.
Interesting.
Because Picard, when he goes on about the Stargazer, it was underpowered, ungunned, but it's like your first car. It's beat up, it's old, it's run down, but it gets you from A to B, and you never forget it. Right. That's how Picard thinks of the Stargazer, and I always compare it to Red Dwarf, where it's old, beat up, but so many things happen, and you never forget your first love. The Constellation, though, is literally just how many parts of a Constitution class scale model can you shove onto one kit bash, where it's like, if you look here, I don't know if I can see it on there. That's the pylons from the Enterprise refit. They just stuck to the side of the saucer, and then they've just took, obviously, the nacelles from the Enterprise, two impulse engines from the Enterprise. And then, although it's not on this, right here on the actual model is a robot. It's a Japanese robot toy that someone had just glued on because it looks interesting. So they sprayed it grey and glued it on because I think do they call them gribbles or gibbles, or there's a term for it.
I think the term is gribbles, if I remember right.
Yeah,
gribbles.
So if you look here, there's just loads of like tiny little things that they've put all the way, like a little mining laser here for some reason, even though it's not a mining ship. And look at how many shuttle bays this thing has. Like, it's just literally an aircraft carrier in space.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
but it's just, I agree with Jason. We did not see enough of the Constellation class, and it is beautiful to behold because it's just like, hey, not all ships have to be majestic like the Galaxy class with all their carpets. I think it's like the Cerritos of its time, where it was just underpowered, unmanned, but it got the job done, and everyone who was on them is like Rutherford and just loves it.
Yeah.
I love that if you watch the battle, there's one scene where whenever LaForge first tells them that it's a Constellation class, if you look at his lips, he actually doesn't say Constellation, he says Constitution. Because originally Stargazer was going to be the movie model of the Enterprise. It was going to be a Connie refit, and then they decided at the last minute, no, we don't need to confuse our audience, because apparently they think their audience is idiots. we don't need to confuse our audience. Let's come up with a new ship. And so they literally just bashed together a new ship in like a week, which I think is just really a testament to how talented the model makers on that show was.
Yeah, totally agree. And I just love how when the nacelles light up in that TNG blue hue, I just think it's fantastic.
Beautiful.
I agree.
Well, I of course couldn't talk about TNG Starships without talking with Michael Adam Goodwill and talk about his ship, the drinking ship.
It's the Adequate.
Yes, the USS Adequate. I tried to like Photoshop Adequate and it didn't work out. So,
look at her,
feisty little ship. Oh, you both got them. Look at that.
Fun fact.
Captain, why is yours bigger than mine?
Look at this. Yeah,
because I like you, Jason. I like
it's
you, Jason.
Not the size that matters. It's the
Yeah.
Is it cold where you are? Because I'm quite warm.
It actually is cold right now.
Yeah,
we see significant shrinkage going on.
Do you want to know a really fun fact? And this is going to be geeky as hell. The smaller scale version of that from Eagle Moss is worth more than the XL version currently.
Wow, Jace, you got more money in your hand. Look at that.
See, it's not the size that matters.
Yeah. Get yourself on eBay.
Yeah, right.
Going back to what Jason just mentioned there about how in the episode Stargazer with Geordie saying Constitution class and how the model makers are just like, no, we need to just build a new ship because the audience is not that stupid. With the Akira class, do you guys notice any similarities between the Akira class and any other ship?
Yes.
Yeah, it reminds me of the
NX-01. Because when they were developing Star Trek Enterprise, the good, knowledgeable people at Paramount. See, you were born into the starships. I was moved by it. The good folks at Paramount were just like, well, why do we have to redesign a new ship when we've just got this one that no one's ever seen, barely, and then we'll just use this as the Enterprise NX-01? To which Doug Drexler just went, are you stupid? So he just
they were.
Yeah. So I mean, these are the same people who wanted boy bands every week on Enterprise. Come on, guys. So he took elements of this ship and incorporated them into a ship that will be 200 years younger. And that's why if you look, like, we've got these parts here that are on the NX-01, obviously these two are on the NX-01, and you just do that, and then it's the NX-01.
Nice.
This is without a doubt the most popular background ship in Star Trek ever, where it's absolutely beautiful, but it gained its popularity through video games, where the PT gave Star Trek Armada, Starfleet Academy, Star Trek Invasion, Star Trek Online, made this an icon on its own, to which in Star Trek Prodigy, it got lovingly recreated and just made into this butt-kicking machine that it is, because this is literally, people say the Defiant was a ship built to fight the Borg. This was built to obliterate the Borg, because this has got like 3,000 torpedo launchers on it. And it's just like everywhere you look, there is a torpedo launcher for 360-degree coverage. It's lean, it's mean, and it's just a Borg ass-kicking machine.
There you
go. When we started trekking up north, we never intended on having a ship of our own, and it sort of morphed into the USS Adequate, because with trekking up north, we don't want to be the best, we just want to get by, so we are adequate. So I thought, hey, well, let's just name the ship the USS Adequate. And someone was going, well, what ship would it be? And I was like, well, I don't want anything that's like a hero ship. I don't want a Sovereign. I don't want a Galaxy. I just want something that's in the background, that is there and it gets the job done and it's adequate. And the first thing that came to mind was the Akira class. And
amazing.
What makes my ship, the USS Adequate, stand out the most we've got the best goddamn cocktail bar on deck 6 of any Starfleet vessel. So I think this is much like the Constellation class, as Jason said, we need to see more of it. I was so happy we saw it in season 2, where it detected that ripple in space before the Borg ship came in. And I saw it in Star Trek Prodigy, and I love it. And it needs so much more recognition, because John Eves, when he was tasked with building a first contact fleet, and he built this, he struck gold. It was lightning in a bottle.
Yeah,
and I love it so much.
One of the things that you had mentioned, Jason, was when you look at a ship, it's kind of hard to see each view as a thing of beauty. But that, to me, is one of the ships that I think looks great.
Oh yeah.
No matter which way you look at it, it's just a cool looking ship.
Hell yeah.
So I made a point.
It's my second favorite ship from Star Trek. Wow. I just love this thing.
So I got a back shot of it, and I just think it looks amazing. And I was like, this looks really cool. Like, no matter which way you look at it, this ship is cool looking.
Yeah, she's beauty. I love her.
Yeah.
It's the way that John Eves poured. This is why when you look at people who design starships for Star Trek, you see the ones that are not really into it, and then you see the ones that pour their heart and soul into it. And John Eves, he designed starships much like Doug Drexler to a meticulous level, where he's just like, hey, the hangar bays, they are through and through, so they can fly in through the back and come out through the front, and vice versa. It's got a rotating torpedo module. It can do this, it can do this. And you just think he is sat down, and for this ship that, let's be honest, had maybe 3 seconds of time in first contact, he is deep from the ground up with deck plans and like, oh yeah, the bridge is submerged between these two pylons, so it's more protected from attack, and it doesn't have a dorsal spar, and it's got and it's just like so much thought for a 3-second shot.
Yeah. But it got love in Deep Space Nine too, right?
Oh hell yeah,
he did.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I remember seeing it in DS9. I think this is like I said, it's beauty to be had, and no matter which way you look at it, and the power that it brought with it is equally stunning. As you said, the rotating torpedoes, the power, the speed, everything. So I thought it was a great ship. Is there anything else you want to say about that ship before we move on, gentlemen?
It's become a cult icon. And I love the fact that this is a ship that was popularized through gaming, which is just, it's, as a gamer, it's like, yeah, we actually have the power to make something like so goddamn popular that was just a 3-second shot in Star Trek First Contact, and then was seen in DS9 and then Voyager, and then it just, to this day in Star Trek Online, you see Akira class ships flying about, because everyone just seems to think it's possibly one of the most perfect TNG ships out there, because it's just the way it's designed, and like you and Jason said, it's beautiful from every angle, and it just has that. It has a presence, and it's almost like a bird of prey presence with it, where it's just like it's low slung, the nacelles are downwards, but it's just like, it's beautiful, but it could pack a punch.
Right. Jason?
She's pretty. I just like, she's pretty.
She's pretty. All right.
Pretty.
She's pretty. So in the vein of that type of ship came another class that probably doesn't get as much prestige, but probably will get love, especially after this season of Lower Decks. And I'm talking about this baby right here. The Steam Runner. Yes, it was like the inverted version of it, where everything was kind of like stuck in. But it always puzzled me that the nacelles were built into the saucer section. I thought that was a very interesting choice in design. Jason, what did you think?
Well, that's so that people who live on that certain part of the saucer section just have that red light just glaring in to them all the time. And that's what they get for not knowing how to close the shutters.
Yeah.
Steam Runner is I'll be honest. She's not one of my favorites. I think she's a bit inelegant, and I think that the secondary hull is very odd considering how teeny tiny it is, and it just kind of trails behind. But at the same time, she's got some charm to it. Again, I don't know how the heck they're supposed to get back there. Um, I don't get it. But somebody on Star Trek does. They have a turbo lift that's like that big, and they have to stand sideways to use it. But oh, heaven help them if they ever have to evacuate. I like it. It is not one of my favorites. A bit clunky, a bit too square. It was built as another background ship in the Borgbuster fleet, and it was not quite as high res as the Akira was. The Akira was like this is the ship we're going to put in front of the camera. The Steam Runner in Norway are going to be in the background, and they're not going to be quite as high res. That's why we've never really seen a good look at a Steam Runner until the second season of Picard and Lower Decks. But she's fine. She's something different. I kind of like that there's more utilitarian ships in Starfleet that have specific jobs, and I know Steam Runners are supposed to be engineering ships. Mm-hmm. So yeah, not my favorite, but I dig the design. It's cool.
All right, Captain Goodwill.
It's a unique design built for the First Contact fleet, where it's just like, hey, every ship needs to look different. And this is incredibly unique. It's incredibly small. Jason is absolutely right. It was incredibly low res, to the point where if Eaglemoss did not recreate the Steam Runner in beautiful 3D to sell a magazine, we would have not had it in Star Trek Picard, Prodigy, and Lower Decks.
Oh wow, interesting.
So without a collector's magazine taking the time to rebuild a fully functional 3D model, we wouldn't have had it in future Star Trek. And very much like the Norway class, where they were like, hey, we've got a ship that's 250 by 250 pixels. Oh, okay. And it's like not even the PS1 detail on this model, but it's quirky. And very much like Jason said, I don't know how they got to the navigational array, because it's just literally hanging out the back. It's like protruding out the back.
I was looking at that. It's like I never even noticed until I brought it up. I was like, oh wow, yeah, that is randomly put back there perfectly.
It's hanging. But then if you look behind the bridge, the unique thing about this, and I don't understand, right behind the bridge is the world's smallest roll bar. And I have no idea what that is for, because it's just there. It doesn't have anything on it or anything like that. It's just I characterize it as someone who's just bought a base model Steam Runner class and then has just pimped it out with a spoiler to make it look a little bit more aggressive. Like when you see someone buys a bog standard Civic and they're just like, I'm going to put a spoiler on it to make it look faster. Someone's done that with a Steam Runner class to make it look good, but it's quirky. And I'm glad we've got to see it in Picard. Like it's getting more detail, but it's not one of my favorite. But I think it's, like Jason said, it's one of those ships where it's got a specific job, and it's just like it's a workhorse of Starfleet, like the Miranda, like the Cerritos and stuff like that. And you don't see them often because they're just in the background at a random planet doing the plumbing.
Yeah. Oh man. So speaking of workhorses, I'm going to bring up one of the longest serving ships in the fleet that just keeps on trugging along, and that is the lovely Excelsior, aka the Enterprise B. Beautiful ship. I think, to me, that is peak TOS leaning into TNG time. I think it's just a perfect blend of like a Constitution and the precursor to another ship that's on this list that we're going to get into later. But I think that they did a great job of it. It's got a very sleek design. It says speed, and it says that I'm going to come in here and give you a punch as long as the stuff arrives by Tuesday. We'll start with Michael on this guy. What are your thoughts on the? Oh, you got the B. So that's the one that doesn't have anything on it.
The big B.
The big B.
This I think, judging by Picard standards, this was not majorly refit or replaced for 120 years.
Yeah.
When you think about it. So the Excelsior class came in the 2280s, and we get to see the Excelsior 2 in season 3 of Picard in 2402.
Right.
So these ships have been around for 120 years. So they are quite literally the hardest working ships in Starfleet. And it's a testament to how robust they are, how infinitely modifiable they are, and just they are they're the Toyota Camrys
Yes.
Starfleet. They will go for 1,000,000 miles and go, yes, I can go 1,000,000 more if you don't mind.
Yeah.
If Scotty doesn't mess around with the walk course up your shaft. But it's I love that we didn't we got two variations. We got the Excelsior, and then we got like the heavy cruiser, which was the Enterprise B, where in Star Trek Generations they were like, how do we differentiate this from the Excelsior? Oh, well, we'll make it look beefier. We'll put big throbbing impulse engines on the saucer section. We'll make the secondary hull fatter, and and it just make it look a bit beefier. So it made, again, the model makers behind were going, no, the audience won't just accept it because they'll just think it's the Excelsior. We different from Sulu ship. So they just made it look beefier. And then when you think, like, the next time we see another variation is the season, is it season 3 or season 2 finale of Lower Decks, where there's like one with Sovereign class nacelles on it.
Right.
And you just think, like, they haven't modified these ships visually for 120 years, and then they're just like, oh, let's just do an engine swap. Let's just do an LS swap on this starship, and just put some Sovy nacelles on it, and it works, and it just looks different but familiar. And then you look at the Excelsior 2, and again, Doug Drexler and John Eves, where they're just going, we'll just keep the familiarity. We'll do what we did with was it Rick Sternbach that did the Constitution refit in the TMP era?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
But where they're just like, we'll make it same but familiar to the original Constitution, and we'll just make it slightly bigger and more angular. And they did that with the Excelsior 2, and it's just like, it looks like the original, but it's fatter and more angular, and it works.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, Nolan North was the captain of one. So we got Nathan Drake from Uncharted himself and many other things as the Starfleet captain of an Excelsior class. Let's be honest, Hikaru Sulu, George Harriman, when he was not taking Ferris Bueller on a day off, was the captain of one. Kirk died on one. I mean, that's the selling point for most people, where it's just like, come and join the crew. Kirk died on us.
We're amazing.
We're amazing. And it's just like, they are the ultimate workhorse in Star Trek.
That's true. Jason.
I like what I heard in a documentary some time ago that said the Excelsior was designed under the premise of what if the Japanese had designed the Enterprise.
Wow.
Influence in the Excelsior ships. And, during the 1980s, that was the thing, was that, Japanese design was really going wild in America. So I think it was a very smart design path to follow. Out of the two variants, I think that I prefer the Enterprise B variant, because I think that it takes a lot of the blandness of the Excelsior model and just breaks it up a little bit. And I think that it just photographs nicer, which I think is funny, because they actually put these little notches on the side here because they needed to damage the model. separate from the Nexus, and they didn't want to actually physically damage the Excelsior model, so they added this, damaged this part of the ship, and whenever it was time to take it off, they couldn't take it off without damaging the model.
Oh, they got catch
So
20.
So another tidbit for you. After 1994, every time you see an Excelsior class on Deep Space Nine, and it does not have the Enterprise D modifications on it, it is a CGI model.
Oh.
And the Lakota is the actual physical model. As a matter of fact, there's a fan theory that says that the Lakota is actually the rechristened Enterprise B. That Starfleet was so intent on getting the Ambassador class out that they wanted to have an Ambassador Enterprise, and so the Enterprise B, which still had a lot of life left in it, they were like, okay, we're just going to rechristen this the Lakota, and then, the C will be around a very, very long time. Womp womp. It was not. So I like that fan theory, though, that the Lakota is actually the Enterprise B.
Wow, that's like...
So...
Go ahead.
So what you're saying, Jason, is literally it is the Toyota Camry.
Yes, again. Yes.
Japanese
it is the Toyota Camry of Starfleet, yes.
Yeah.
Because if you think with the Enterprise B, that ship would have been around till 2402. So, it would make sense for Starfleet to go, oh, come on, let's just rechristen this and then just get the Enterprise C out as an ambassador class, because that is our new, this is our proto... I mean, that was the Pathfinder for the Galaxy class. And a lot of design elements in the Ambassador were in the Galaxy class. And it would make sense, because find me an Excelsior class that would stop after 20 years. No. Like a Camry, they will go for 1,000,000 light years and continue to keep going.
Absolutely. I like to think that every starship has an artificial intelligence on board. And I like to think that if the Enterprise B was rechristened the Lakota to make room for an Enterprise C, I like to think that the Lakota is just doing all these menial tasks around Starfleet, watching the Enterprise C get destroyed, watching the Enterprise D get destroyed, watching whatever the hell happens to the Enterprise D.
Oh, wow.
Gee, look who's still around. Enterprise D. I'm sorry, I mean Lakota.
Yeah.
You think that the computer was just like, the C's destroyed? Okay. NCC 1701D. Oh, the D's being destroyed. NCC 1701E. Oh, the E's destroyed. NCC 1701F. And every time they're just like, no.
Yeah.
I just like to think at some point, the Lakota is just hanging around and the Enterprise G flies by and the Lakota just goes, I got your ass.
I give you 2 years.
I will be the Enterprise H. You just watch.
Yeah. I love this ship. It's such a cool design. It's like your sleek model. And one of the things that I remember fondly is watching TNG and seeing this shot, this past and present, meeting side by side on a mission. And again, this is probably Lakota going, your days are numbered, buddy. But
it doesn't have the modifications. You were not listening to me, Joe.
No, I know. I said I would like to think. I didn't say it was. I said I would like to think.
Okay, fine.
Just keep the gag going.
Do you think Eaglemoss missed a trick where? And I joke about this, and I know it's a bit sad, but I think this would have saved them going bust if they were just like, hey, we've got this Excelsior class mold. Why don't we just rebrand every single Excelsior class ship that's been in Star Trek and just resell it? I would have bought a Crazy Horse, a Republic, a Lakota. I would have bought every single one of them.
That would have
been like the Playmates Star Trek back in the 90s. Pop the head off this one, put it on this one. New figure. Get it.
Yep.
AMT did it with the models, with the decals. They were just like, oh, you want an Excelsior class? Here are 40 pages worth of decals if you want 40 different variations of this ship. They would have sold for... I have got no money, but I would have gone bankrupt to have every single Excelsior class of different ship.
Oh, man. Oh, perfect. Well,
bring it to your apartment. You're just like, where are you going?
Go back. Well, we talked about it. We got to take a look at it. And we're talking next from yesterday's Enterprise, we watch the Enterprise B watch this ship get destroyed, and that is the Enterprise C, which is definitely the beautiful little cousin of the D. Oh, not a fan of that one. Yeah, that's right. You're the one that didn't like that ship. I thought it was a very nice in between verse because you got that circular deflector. I know you don't like it. You can stop in the thumbs down. It's okay.
No, I'm never going to stop.
You got
Never
that nacelles of the D. You got the B deflector dish with a little bit of A look to it. I thought it was a very interesting combination of ships. Well, Jason, I know you hate it, so Michael, what do you think of the C? I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. Oh, it's a double hate. It's just
no. All ships are beautiful. It's
This one was beautiful when it blew up.
it's a weird one. I'm sort of on the fence because I feel that the Probert concept, which was the original concept for the Enterprise D, which was then used as the Enterprise C in the Ready Room, was more beautiful than the actual model that we see in yesterday's Enterprise. It was sleeker. It was like, what if we take the Japanese elements of the Excelsior class and sort of have that between the B and the D? So you had the sleek lines, you had like the underslung nacelles instead of just being more or less average with the saucer section. And I think that's more beautiful than what we saw here. I liken this to a Constellation class model where this was a period in Starfleet where everything was just underpowered and we were just getting them out there. And this was just a test bed where they were like, okay, this is the Ambassador class, but we're just putting it out there because big things are coming in the next 20, 5, 10, 15, 20 years with the Galaxy class. And this was just something that they knocked out to use as a test bed for the Galaxy class, because everything just seems very utilitarian, very practical, and just very, very bulky. I liken it to the design of like mid-2000 Buicks or Vauxhalls, as we call them over here, where they're
yeah, that's a good call. Yeah.
Where they're just angular, they're just square, and they're just like, you want a CD player? Okay, here is square CD player. You want screen? Here is screen that looks orange, and it just, it's an ambiguous design, but I'm very much a fan of the Probert concept of the C, and I've got the model up there. And when you compare them both together, like it's more stylish and it's more like what a Starfleet designer would do. When it makes when you put the B, the Probert concept C, and the D in a line, you can see a design lineage. When you put the B, the C, and the actual C and the D together, it's just like, oh, the B, it's sleek, it's elegant. Oh, the C, what? And then the D, and it's just like, oh yeah, it's like there's angles, and this was just it made no design sense. So I just nickname it like the mid-2000s Vauxhall or Buick of Starfleet, where it's just like it's got square bits. Okay,
yeah, look, we made it square. Yay!
Yeah.
Jason, let's hear the love of this show, right?
So Triangulum Studios, which is another great YouTube channel, which I really enjoy. So after you subscribe to us, subscribe to them.
Yeah,
they have cooked up this storyline about the Ambassador class that I'm actually a really big fan of, and that is the Ambassador class was a scandal in Starfleet. That they designed this ship that had all of these amazing technological achievements in it, and then hooked it up to a duotronic computer, like the A and the B ran up, and the computer could not run the ship. But the higher ups in Starfleet knew this, but they put the ship out anyway because we have to have this new starship out because the Klingons are watching us, the Romulans are watching us. They have to know we're strong. And it's because of this design deficiency that the Enterprise C was lost, because she simply could not respond in a combat situation. And so after that, Starfleet recalled the Ambassador class ships, except for a few that they put into like menial service, and basically refit them into what was called the Narendra class, which was the Andrew Probert design. And that ship, performed marvelously. And that's why the canonical explanation of why we only saw the Ambassador class ships a few times. It's because they are very rare by the time that the D's out, because they've all been recalled or refit. I like that because I don't like the C. I don't like the ship look. I just don't like it. It's boxy and it's ugly. It is honestly, even counting the Enterprise J, it is my least favorite Enterprise.
I kind of like the J. The J's also neat.
I like the J too.
But the J is like the size of a planet, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, it's a universe class. It's got like you don't take turbo lifts, you take transporters, and it's got schools and universities on board, and zoos and shopping malls, and theme parks and everything.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the new reskin they did for the J? It's like they replaced all the hull with like transparent aluminum.
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah, it was for.
Me too.
It was for the Roddenberry Vault, and then what they did was Doug Drexler, who actually designed the J, was just like, I don't like that, and they were like, oh, so they redid it with the actual hull that we saw in Star Trek Enterprise, and he was like, yeah, that makes more sense, because it's like, why would you have a transparent hull? Because we see it in Discovery in the 32nd century, but he's like, it's the 26th, and obviously we wouldn't have that. But the theories of like the J, where it's just like it's got lakes, it's got cities and universities and schools, and there is no bridge, because you could have the bridge from your quarters, you could have the bridge from here, and like it really. But the Ambassador class is just, it's. I think it's that design stepping stone, getting from the B to the D, and they just use the Ambassador class as that test bed, and it is Jason's theory is really good. Because it would, let's be honest, we see the Enterprise C in yesterday's Enterprise, and then we see it once in Wolf 359, and that's it.
Oh, no, it appears in Data's Day.
And it appears in Redemption as well, but they're all stock shots.
Right.
They're all stock shots.
You get just random, like, boop, oh, look at me,
So we and it would make sense where they were just retired or refit into the Narendra class, which is really popular in Star Trek Online again. But it just, the design lineage would then make sense, where you've gone from the B to C, the C refit, which is more angular, more sleeker, to the Galaxy class, where it is all about the angles and it's all about the flow of design, as opposed to the Buick that is the original Ambassador class.
Buick. Oh man! If you're ever wondering, the ship right here by the moon, that is the Enterprise C. I like to have that little tidbit there, because it's a Buick. Yes, it's all AKA the Buick. Now we're gonna go to something a little bit more fun before we go to our final ship. This ship is another workhorse ship. It is somewhere in between the Akira and the Steamrunner. It is none other than this beautiful Thunderbird here. I call this the Thunderbird ship. It almost looked Romulan. What'd you say, Jason?
I said the Norway.
The Norway.
The Norway.
Yeah. Oh, you got that too, man! Look at that. I know you have it, Michael, because we discussed it. You like?
I have everything.
I know. Yeah. And if you're interested, we're gonna have that pop up. You can go and check that episode out. You can see his massive Star Trek collection. It's great.
That's even bigger now.
Oh wow! And Jason's is quite impressive as well. But Jason, tell us, what are your thoughts on this ship?
If anybody joined us for this conversation over the last couple of seconds, they are very confused and aroused. I love this ship just because, to me, it's a forgotten ship, because it appears once, and that is in Star Trek First Contact, way in the background.
Yep.
Because it was one of the low-res ships. When I think it was it Skywalker Effects or whoever it was? I don't know.
ILM, yeah.
Whenever the effects house for Star Trek First Contact sent the computer models to Deep Space Nine for them to use it in the fleet, we don't really know what happened to this guy, but all we've been told is the model was unusable. So it vanished. It just disappeared. And it stayed disappeared for years until Eagle Moss lovingly recreated it and sold it back to us fans. And I think she's rather nice. And again, not one of my favorites, but as a warship, I think she's very smartly designed. And I would love to see this guy pop up again in the Legacy series if it ever gets greenlit, which who knows?
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Captain Goodwill.
I call this the USS Iron. Because the iron, because it looks like it would press your shirt immaculately. If you flip that ship upside down, you will notice something very familiar. Look at the bottom of the saucer.
Oh, it's the Voyager.
It kind of looks like
the underside. The underside. Show us the underside.
Yeah.
Oh,
there. Yeah. It has got design elements
it's happy
from
to see you.
the start.
Yeah.
Those two holes there, USS Defiant.
Oh,
they
look
are
at that.
ripped off the Defiant model. It was again a first contact fleet ship that was it was pre-PS1 pixelation, and the files were just unusable. The format that ILM used just could not be. Yeah, they just could not be reused. So
I've never noticed that it's smiling before. Now I'm never going to be able to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello. We're going to be blowing up today.
Come and visit Norway. The every ship in the Norway class was named after a Norwegian city or town. So that's why you got the USS Budapest, I believe.
Yes.
But it's a very, and again, it is a very unique design that Johnny Eves quite cleverly went, okay, you want different ships. I will make them so unbelievably different that they will gain their own cult following. And this is another one that not as popular as the Akira class, but gained that following through PC games. It gained that status in Star Trek Armada and Starfleet Command 1, 2, and 2 and 3, where it's just like the fans wanted these tiny little unknown ships, and that's where the res pack started to come in, and then Eagle Moss stepped in and was just like, we want to sell this because we know it will sell, and they just beautifully rebuilt the model in their own interpretation. But very much like the Galaxy class, there are certain angles where it does not photograph well. It is quite compact. It's like a pancake. But I just compare it to an iron, where the USS Iron, the USS Crease.
The USS Crease.
It's just, and the weird thing is when you look at the saucer, it's got windows at the bottom, and I'm just like, are they just like flaws?
No.
But it just, again, it's a unique ship, and all ships are beautiful, but this is not my favorite, but it is a very unique design, I think, for Star Trek.
I agree. I think
the theory I had. Sorry, Joe. Go on.
I think it's one of those ships that like you can bump out like 7 or 8 at a time and build a quick side fleet to do some damage really quickly to a big massive ship like the Discovery era Klingon ships that existed only in Discovery. But so we've never seen anything that like monstrous since, but that's what I would use because it's quick, it's versatile, it does its job and gets out, and that's what you need in full scale standalone war. And I think that's probably what the call on that ship was.
I think the designs that we see in First Contact of the Steamrunner Akira Norway, I think it was the response to Wolf 359 where they were like, Our old ships got tore up because they have got. I mean, if you look at the constellation, we've not got one; we've got two dorsal spars. They are vulnerabilities. So they built fleets of ships where they didn't have these vulnerable areas within them, and everything was sort of closer or even merged into one singular hull. So the vulnerabilities were eliminated, but they were like, we don't have to build these huge gargantuan ships. We can have smaller ships to do the same duties with less crew, with more advanced computers. And I think when you see the fleet, it's like they are so different because they all have different duties, like the Cerritos, the Akira class, which is sort of like the Borgbuster, the Norway class, which is like the one that does the plumbing, and then the Norway class, which is just ironing out creases all over the Federation. But when the time is needed, they are able to be called up at the time of battle. And I think you don't see them a lot afterwards because they are doing the ancillary duties all the way through the Federation. They are the ones that service the planets, do the runs, basically make sure that the Federation is standing and the lights are turned on, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we keep the lights on in this house. All right. So, Jason, any other thoughts on that ship?
Not really. I just kind of echoing everything that the good captain said. It's not my favorite, but I root for it because to me it was an underdog. It was lost and now it's found, so I'm all good.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to our final ship, and we just want to thank Captain Adam Goodwill for joining us in this very special venture, and thank each and every one of you guys for subscribing to the Captain's Quadrant and watching the Captain's Quadrant. We appreciate you all. We have so much more exciting things happening. We've got so much more fandom to bring to you, the final season of Discovery and beyond. And of course, we cannot be remiss about talking TNG without talking about the Enterprise E. That bad boy right there.
We don't talk about what happened.
We don't talk about what happened. We don't. It was not my fault.
It was those darn kids on that starship. The stupid little kid and that thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to think that's what happened to the D. To the E.
I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah. It would have been nice if they would have just put it in the script. Yeah, those dang kids. You know what I mean? Because that would line up chronologically.
He would have used the F word, those effing kids.
Those patocks.
Hello, Batcat.
Hey, Batcat. What kids?
I would have loved it because we know that Worf was the captain of the Enterprise E.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would have loved it that finally, after decades of you will never be captain, you will never be this, you will always be a commander, Picard gets called away to become an admiral and create the Romulan refugee fleet. He is called away. Riker is already on the Titan. The next logical progression is Captain Worf.
Yeah.
Worf gets the 4th pip. He sits down in the captain's chair. Sir, we are getting a distress call. The USS Prodigy has returned from the Delta Quadrant. It's lost ship.
5 minutes.
Maximum warp. And then within 5 minutes, he loses the ship.
Oh my God.
And that is
I'm
why.
going to go back to our talk.
That is why we don't talk, because he's like, very much like Star Trek 09. Your father was the captain of a ship for 11 minutes. Worf was captain for 5, and he got screwed.
Yeah.
And that was
and
it.
You know that Worf got on, after he was done with his escape pod and he was on a ship heading back to Earth. He's in his quarters, like his comm rang, and he answers it, and it's Riker with that big stupid smirk going, "Hey, Worf, how's the Enterprise?" Worf hangs up on him. It beeps again, and it's Geordi. So, "What did you do to my ship?" He hangs up. Beeps again. It's Troy going, "Worf, I'm here if you want to talk, because I know what it's like to destroy the Enterprise too."
Or
He
even
hangs
better,
up.
like,
Ezri, hey, I heard. 5 minutes. You lasted 5 minutes. That sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Oh man! Wow.
Or even better, like to parallel First Contact, where the Enterprise E beams up the Defiant survivors, the Defiant beams up Worf.
Oh,
the Defiant was there
man.
as well. And Kira's
Oh,
just
yeah, that's
sat
right.
there.
It was. You're right.
And,
Oh, my
Kira's
God.
just sat there again and goes, you had one job. And twice have you screwed up 2 starships, because
man.
he wrecked the Defiant,
Yeah.
and then he wrecks the Enterprise E. And she's just sat there going, you had one job, Worf.
Oh, my God.
I guess that's not as tough of a ship as I thought it would be, Worf. Shut up, Kira.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
That's when he just leaves. He just takes off every single pip and just goes, nope, I am a pacifist now. I am out. And he just walks
That's
away.
the start of his pacifism. Oh, man. Well, one of the things I love about the Enterprise E is it has this like nice amalgamation of all the different generations of starships. It has the smaller deflector dish of the B. It has the nice full saucer of the D. It has the nacelles of like the B. It has just so many beautiful things that remind us of all of Star Trek. And yes, there she is. There she is. And I feel like there's nothing for the C here, but I want to say that there's something in there that's C-esque. And I just think it's a beautiful ship, and it was a nice way to bring us from television into film. I kind of think that the E ship should have been the one picking up the Enterprise D crew, so that you got a glimpse into the future, so to speak. I thought that would have been a nice
Fraser
way
Crane
to
was
tie
too
it
busy testing it out at the time. That's what was happening.
Oh,
there is a beta canon story where Captain is it Morgan Freeman?
Yes.
Cause and effect. The Boltzmann is decommissioned, and he's actually given the command of the Enterprise E. So for the first year, it is Morgan Bateman, Morgan Bates, who is captain of the Enterprise E. And there is a transition of power between Captain Fraser Crane, as I call him, to Captain Picard. He's like, Niles, you can't serve a sovereign class ship with red wine.
Oh man.
And it's I think that's why you never see them, but it is again, like the Akira, like the Steamrunner, like the Norway. It is a ship that was just extremely popularized in computer games. Every Star Trek game from the late 90s to the mid 2000s, you had the Enterprise E, and it just gained so much popularity through that as opposed to the movies. Because I remember it fondly as in a game in Star Trek Invasion, where it was a PlayStation game and it had Patrick Stewart and Michael Dorn voicing, and Enterprise E it's really weird because the Enterprise E is transporting another starship. It's actually attached to another starship, and the Enterprise E has this ability to dock with another smaller starship and transport it through space.
Oh, that's cool.
And ironically, it's a ship that Worf captains, and we know it's not fake. Yeah. And we know it's not a canon story because the ship in Star Trek Enterprise that Worf captains does not get destroyed. So we don't take it as
poor Worf.
So, it is a beautiful, and this is what possibly a memed ship as well, because it basically says Star Trek fans are not finicky about ship design. Meanwhile, Star Trek fans, and it shows the First Contact version of the Enterprise E and the Nemesis version of the Enterprise E. And to the untrained eye, you're just like, it's exactly the same. But to people like me that don't go out and don't have the sex or anything like that, we just go. we just go. Ah, yes, the pylons are higher by 0.28 degrees. There's an extra torpedo tube on the dorsal spar. We have got an extra torpedo tube there. We've got phaser strips on the pylons. And it's just like, this is why no one loves me. But it's a testament that John Eves' design, where he's just like, I'm going to refit it, but I'm going to refit it so goddamn subtly that people are going to be freezing Star Trek Nemesis and going, that's where it's different on the ship. That's First Contact. It's got 29 decks when it never had 29 decks in First Contact. It had 24 where they built an extra bit of the hull, and it's got extra torpedo tubes. It's got extra torpedo tubes. Shut your face. It's got extra torpedo. And I love. I just. It is the epitome of John Eves' design. Just before we got Doug Drexler's NX-01 in Enterprise, where he's just like, I'm going to take this ship and it's going to be CGI from Insurrection onwards, and I'm going to make it so goddamn detailed that fans will be poring over it for decades. And next to the Constitution refit, this is my favorite Enterprise of all time, because it just design-wise, it worked. They took out the dorsal spar because they were like, hey, that is a vulnerability. It still separates, like the ship can still separate, but everything on it is just more practical and sleeker. And it's like when he was designing it, he was like, okay, so the Enterprise D was a hotel in space. It was a Cadillac. It was smooth. It was comfort orientated. Like, it was never supposed to be fast. The Enterprise E is a Corvette.
Yeah.
It is smaller, it is sleeker, and it is designed to burn rubber and let people see the taillights before you even notice it was there. And I love the passion that John Eves had put into it. And like I said, the world's most minor refit, and yet the hardcore fans were just like, yeah.
Yeah. Jason.
Okay, so I'm going to echo that. The E is probably my second favorite Enterprise design, behind the movie era Enterprise, which I guess it is a movie era Enterprise. Between the Connie refit, let me put it that way. Okay. And I think it's interesting because whenever this design was first introduced in First Contact, I thought, what a beautiful ship, what a beautiful model. And then they went to CGI, and I thought, what a downgrade. The ship is so dull and lifeless now, and it stayed that way for the rest of its run. I kind of see the E the same way I see the Norway, although certainly not in the same degree. The E, to me, only had one good adventure, and the rest of them were just terrible.
Aw.
I'm sorry. Nemesis was garbage. Insurrection was.
Well, yeah, Insurrection was garbage.
You can Nemesis protest all.
Nemesis is just fine. I will stand on the hill.
Credits started rolling, and I could leave.
I like that. There was a lot of.
You know what my favorite part of Nemesis was? It was whenever Riker went down to the very bottom of the ship to go fight Romulans, and then he killed the Romulan, and it fell down a torpedo. It fell down a shaft, even though they were on the very bottom of the ship.
Yeah.
Explain that to me. Explain it. You can't because nobody who made Nemesis cared.
But come on, the Picard maneuver.
Picard maneuver.
Where he was just like, I'm not going to win, so I'm just going to shove this Enterprise E so far down your throat.
I think, can't we call that the Troy maneuver, though? Because every time she gets the helm, she crashes the ship.
No, man.
She redeemed herself in Picard.
Yes, she did.
She took the helm, and you could see everybody on the bridge go,
yeah.
But she piloted it where she needed to go, because I guess she'd had enough practice and she'd hit enough walls by that point. She's like, next time I pilot a ship, I'm not going to crash it into anything. So she became just as good as Data. Just but we should call that the Troy maneuver, is crashing the ship into something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really love the E. I was honestly a little bit upset with Star Trek Picard whenever they made her fate a joke, because I'm like, that's my baby right there. Yeah. You're talking about killing my baby off screen. I want to know where my baby is. I like to think my baby is in Bay 13, being refit as well. And if they ever do Legacy, maybe like a season finale, it's like, what about the ship in Bay 13? Sydney, shut up. Oh my God. Okay, fine. Look, everybody, it's the E.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'll be cool. I would love that.
Or take control of the E. Okay, everyone, what happened to the E? It just exploded.
For a war.
Not
It
my
was the
fault.
kids. It was the kids again. It was the kids.
Damn kids.
Those damn kids.
There is an exhibition at the Starfleet Museum at 8th and Prime where you've just got the ships of Worf, brackets, that he just destroyed. And you've just got the Defiant, the E, the F. He wasn't on the F, but we blamed him anyway.
Yeah.
I like to think that Alexander's there working as a security guard, and Worf comes in every now and again to look around, and he looks at him, "Good job, sir," and walks away without even recognizing him. Thanks, Dad.
That's terrible.
Not only is he a terrible captain, he's a terrible father.
He's got a two times.
Yeah, he brings Raffi by one day to show her all of his ships, and it's like, I think of you as my own daughter. See, I never had children of my own, and Alexander's just in the background trying not to cry.
Do you think Alexander's just been emancipated and he's just like, nope, no, I
no house. Alexander, no house. I got no houses. Okay, just leave me alone.
He's got on Macaulay Culkin and just like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah,
the insurance premiums on my dad's ships is too much.
Yeah,
I am Alexander House of the,
Yeah, I'm out. Yeah,
fucking. He's going to fleet somewhere. I don't know. He's had enough of Worf's nonsense by this point.
Do you think though with the Enterprise E with season 2 of Prodigy, because we know with season 2 of Prodigy we've got the Voyager A.
Right.
Do you think that with the dedicated hardcore Star Trek fans behind it, they will answer what happened to the Enterprise E, either reference it in the previous battle or something will happen? Because it is a mystery, and I don't think it's either going to be answered in season 2 of Prodigy or in Legacy if it's ever picked up, because you can't just leave. Trekkies will just go nuts if we don't know what happened.
I would see it being picked up in Legacy, but not Prodigy.
Really?
Because I just don't see Prodigy picking it up. Now, it would be a perfect Legacy episode, and it goes along with the whole Legacy theme.
Right.
Because they're talking about the legacy of the Enterprise. So, yeah, certainly. What happened to the E? We could call it, Worf's Big Day Out, or 5 minutes, or something like that.
The Enterprise F was retired because its computers were irreparably damaged, and I like to think that someone installed Windows Vista, and they were just like, it is done. Like, how did it fly out of space dock? Because it kept getting blue screen of death. But it's which is sad, because the Enterprise F is a stunning design, and again, it's what happens when Paramount goes, because we wouldn't have had half the ships in season 2 and 3 of Picard if Paramount didn't go, shall we listen to the fans? And then they were like, well, Star Trek Online does amazing stuff. Eagle Moss has beautifully recreated all these 3D models, and without those two, we wouldn't have had half the beautiful models that we have now. In Picard and in Legacy and everything, not Legacy, in Picard season 2 and 3. And the F, I think, deserved more love because it was a natural progression of the E in an aesthetic. But did you guys hear why they decided to go back to a Constitution 3 for the Titan and the Enterprise G, like for the saucer section? So Doug justified it as Starfleet designers looked at the angular design of the Prometheus, of Voyager, and the Sovereign class, and the Odyssey class, which is the Enterprise F. And what they found was the ships that they lost, there was an incident that happened where a ship fell into a planet's atmosphere. And because of the, I don't have an angular design. God damn it. Because of the angular design of the saucer. Yeah.
There you go.
So because of the angular design, unlike the Enterprise D saucer where it went like that and landed majestically because of its large surface area. No, it flipped.
Oh.
So the story goes that there was I think it was either a Sovereign class or an Odyssey class it was entering a planet's atmosphere, and the saucer inverted because of the way it was designed. It was not designed for obviously air resistance and wind resistance, and it inverted and it crashed upside down, killing all the crew.
Oh,
so the designers of the shipyards went back and went, maybe this angular design is not as good as as we think it is, and maybe for atmospheric events we should go back to a more oval or circular design, and that's why we see the introduction of a constitution like saucer brought back. Because if you look at the ships, like, yes, the Sagan class is like slightly angular, but then you've got the refit of the Nebula class, the refit of the Galaxy class, the Archer class, and stuff like that in season 3, where they've gone more saucer, and they've justified it by the fact that this one incident, as we see in modern day, where one incident will happen and it will change the face of design in cars and planes and everything forever.
Yeah,
this is what happened in Starfleet. Yeah, this is what happened in Starfleet, where this one ship went like that, and it just like that and killed everybody. And they were like, nope, we are not going to make that mistake again.
Wow.
So that's why they went back to the retro design of the Neo Constitution class to ensure if it entered the atmosphere, it would not invert.
Flip over, yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that explanation. It makes a lot of sense. And I particularly am more fond of the rounder sizes and shapes. So I am all for that, because I love my circular ships C, D, and E. So yeah, I love it. This has been an amazing trek, if you will, into the Star Trek stuff. I love both of your faces. I was like, oh man, seriously, we had such a great time until that moment. No,
I thought it was better than this.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. And thank you so much, Adam Goodwill, Captain USS Adequate, for joining us. And of course, always, Jason, Roy, Gaston, thank you so much for hanging out with us in this very special episode. If you enjoy the Captain's Quadrant, please be sure to visit our updated merch store. Ooh, we have wonderful hats. We have pants. Yeah, we got Scullies and beanies and mugs and all these wonderful things.
Can I do the background music? Can I do the background music? If you sell us like QVC.
Yeah. Yes, we have dog tags, sweaters.
When you said we had Captain Quadrant pants, I thought you were going with like the English version of pants, so I was thinking like undies.
Oh, no. It's just you got Agony Booth in the back.
I insist on Captain's Quadrant's Y-fronts, please. I insist.
I don't even know what that is, but I'm all for it.
We've got fanny packs, new mugs.
I thought those were panties. Darn it.
Sorry. No. There may be some sports bras around. We have totes and hoodies and die-cut stickers. And of course, pickleball paddles. You can't go wrong.
No way.
Yeah. So you can get them for the low price of $54.99. It comes in a pair. So
I could discipline Science Officer Synoid with a Captain's Quadrant paddle. I'm in.
Yes. With our faces on it, so that'll be a lot of fun. So you go and check that out.
We need the pickleball paddle.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to create a brand new category on some adult websites that way.
Yeah, we probably are.
50 Shades of Court Martial.
Yeah. Captain's paddle.
Would you like to see my ready room?
Oh boy.
Engage.
Oh boy.
Safety word is Kobayashi Maru.
Everyone report to my ready room, not you, Worf, Mr. 5 minutes.
Oh my god, so much fun. So much fun in the end. Once the giggles are gone, please, Captain Anna, tell us where people can find you. Everybody knows that you are part of Nerdy Up North, and there's so much more to that. So let folks know where they can catch you.
What do I do? Oh yes, I have a show. Yeah. I really want a paddleboard. I really want
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
I just want to discipline Synoiz with Captain Joe's face.
Just get them to the podcast. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah, there you go.
I am Captain Goodwill of the USS Adequate. We are part of Nerdy Up North, and we have our own porky little show called Trekking Up North, where our ongoing mission until we are cancelled and replaced by something superior is to review every episode and movie of Star Trek in existence and to seek out new guests, very much like Captain Joe Dove, and make them very uncomfortable. We have fun, we have laughs, we have a lot of Romulan ales, or as I have, passion fruit martinis. And we deliver our Northern English take on all things Star Trek. We are here to celebrate all things Star Trek, share our love of Star Trek, and just basically bring people into the world of Star Trek who have never seen the episodes before. They have never seen the show before. And we are so proud that we have been able to get people into Star Trek who have never seen it in decades and go, oh, we actually get why you like it now. We are reviewing every Star Trek movie a month. So we have recently done The Wrath of Khan, where the wonderful Joe Dove, who we still
Alpha 5.
we referenced this in our last episode. We wouldn't have Masterpiece Society in season 5 of TNG if we didn't have Joe going, there's this City Alpha 5.
Yeah.
And we are doing The Search for Spock coming up soon. And it's really nice because it's Synoiz's first journey through the original series movies. So he is getting to know these movies, and it is just so much fun. Me and the wonderful Captain Joe Dove will be at STLV together. So if you see us shouting, "This is City Alpha 5," please top up our cocktails because we are running low.
Yes.
But I am so proud. We have recently celebrated our 50th episode and our first anniversary. I am proud of what we have done. I am proud of the friends that we have made, like Jason Rogeston, like Captain Joe Dove,
indeed,
like Jason, the Aussie.
Yes. No, he said you first.
Oh, he said me already. Okay.
Yeah.
I said the Aussie. You're the
over there. I was distracted.
Yeah.
So I am incredibly proud of the friends that we have made and the journey that we are all on together. We don't compete. We are a huge Trek family. We love each other dearly. We support each other dearly. And most importantly, we have fun celebrating Star Trek.
Absolutely. And in the vein of fun and celebrating Star Trek, I just want to, again, thank you. Wish you peace and long life, of course. And if you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you did, I know you love Starships and Star Trek, you're going to definitely want to check out our last Agony booth, and that was the Mark of
Lord.
What's that?
I said, oh, dear Lord.
Yeah, that was a rough one. But just put the starship back. But one of the things that we noticed, and I'm going to mention it here while we have the good Captain Goodwill, his co-host Synoiz ancestor was in the episode. And there you go. Yes. Yes, there it is. We wish him all the best. And we will see you next time. Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you so much, Captain Goodwill. Until then.